Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hypecast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
We're doing it. We're making history.
We sure are.
Yeah.
One podcast at a time.
Yeah.
Surely.
Making a better
the podcasts
world.
are back.
The contribution that will stand the test of time, that will withstand the eroding sands of the ages, is podcasting.
Yeah. Whenever I'm in public, I cut in line and I say, it's okay, I'm a podcaster.
The purely digital art form of podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
A thing with no physical component.
Honestly,
Definitely will
podcasters
withstand
should
test time.
get special parking spots.
Yeah,
Yeah, there should be a decal I can hang from my rearview mirror.
for sure.
It's like it looks like the handicap one, but it's a guy sitting in a chair with a microphone in front of his face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Also, the little stick figure is very clearly a guy, because I think that's important to the moniker of podcaster.
Podcaster. Yes.
In this context.
Yes.
It's somehow clearly a white man. Everybody knows it, even though it's just a stick figure. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Well, episode of Hypecast.
Hypecast.
It's the show where we get
Hypecast.
hyped about stuff and things. I'm your co-host, Tom Ryman.
I'm your other co-host, David Bell.
I'm Logan Trent.
Yeah,
Logan.
you are.
Hey.
Thank you.
Not bad.
Thank
How are
you
you?
for joining us.
Always
How
a
are
pleasure. I'm okay. Can't complain.
Okay. You can if you want to.
If you wish. Yeah.
Oh man, then I've got a list to go through. Jesus.
Nice.
You can also tell us some stuff if you want to. We're doing our pluggables up top recently. So if there's anything you want to, where can people find you? What are you working on? What do you want to tell people?
We've been doing some neat stuff with original reporting over at Cracked. Like we had an interview with Jillian Jacobs and Ben Schwartz, and we're hoping to get some more in the future. So check those out. And then I'm on Twitter for as long as it still exists at the Logan Trent, and on Instagram. And hopefully we'll find a better social media thing that doesn't suck ass.
Nice. Yeah, I've been testing Blue Sky. It's just everybody really feeling themselves right now, which is fine, but there needs to be like people to dunk on, you know what I mean?
Well,
you need that.
My hesitance for Blue Sky is I read all the terms of service, and it's like really draconian.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like you have to
it's
sign
like Facebook.
You have to sign an arbitration agreement, so you can't sue or you can't be part of a class action lawsuit if your information gets leaked or anything. They own everything that you post, which is pretty typical for social media sites, but it's like there's a lot of like overreach there, and like there's some other shit where it's basically like it's that Futurama episode where the clerk says, "If for any reason you're not satisfied, I hate you."
We hate you. Yeah.
It's
listen,
so.
Tom,
I mean, it's fuck. I'm not going to sign an arbitration agreement for Jack fucking Dorsey. Is the bottom line?
fair.
Like,
It's not a utopia by any measure, but it is not owned by Elon Musk, and that's nice. It is nice to be on there.
You know what?
With that in mind, what you're saying, which is like, I don't know. For now, I'm not. Maybe they'll change those fucking terms out of the beta or
I
whatever.
doubt it.
But Yeah, I doubt it too.
I've seen a lot of I retweeted somebody pointing that out, and I got a response that was like, "Oh, it's a beta product." I'm like, really? Do most beta products make you sign a fucking arbitration agreement so you can't sue them if it leaks your personal information? Do beta products do that like just by course? Is that common?
God,
yeah, when you complain about beta stuff, you're not complaining about legal shit. You're complaining about, oh, this doesn't have a feature where you can DM or block people.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
This doesn't have like a Spotify integration, so I can't listen to Collective Soul while I'm playing this stupid game or whatever. No, this is like legal shit. Like they're making you sign a contract that is incredibly overreaching. So, I don't know. I think
not
the
owned
good
by Elon Musk.
The other good thing is it's making me realize that maybe whatever Twitter was is over.
Yeah, no, that is actually probably the answer, right? Is that I think Twitter only had a few years left in it, Elon Musk aside. You know, like it didn't feel like it already felt like we were winding that down.
Yeah.
It didn't have that many users to begin with. It had
No,
only
it
like
never
250 million. Yeah, it wasn't that big. It just had a very big like media reach.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I still think there's a place for that always. And what I mean by that is like a place for officials who are perhaps verified as the people they are to make statements publicly and for people to directly respond. I think we're always going to want that, but I don't think it has to be in the form of what Twitter is, right? It's just that what made Twitter work so well is that it felt very public like that. In a way that no other social media really feels, right? Everything else, it's like you have your friends, you kind of, I don't know, I haven't been on Facebook in a while, so maybe it's all different.
Here's my thinking on that is that's kind of how Facebook started, right? Where Facebook essentially became the internet for most of its users. So like the Facebook is where they got all their news. And Twitter became the same thing for a lot of people, for me included. I would log into Twitter to see what was happening, to find like breaking news.
Problem.
And then, of course, the news gets distilled into misinformation and flame wars and all this other crap. But I think the appeal of Twitter that it had over Facebook was that Twitter eliminated the distance between you and like celebrities you like.
Exactly. Or celebrities you hate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The thing I liked about Twitter, I just liked the immediacy of it, which played into like, for me specifically, I like that I can like watch a sports game and instantly like have feedback with like other people who are watching the exact same game in real time. Whereas like there's no delay with like algorithms and shit, and you can get highlights. Like Jason Pargin, our friend, and I were like, and your brother too, Tom, were like going back and forth during the NFL draft, and it was like really fun doing that like in real time with there. And there's not really an option like that with the other social media ones that I see that's as done.
It is really like it is a really useful version of social media, but like all social media, it's just a shame that it like, you know, became the internet. And obviously Twitter before Musk had its problems,
of course,
as well. And I would say like, Blue Sky is going to have those problems. It is still refreshing because Blue Sky feels more like it feels like a forum. Like it's not, there's a couple celebrities, there's a couple news things on it, but everybody's just sort of like doesn't give a shit. So it's just all shit posting. And so for that reason, it's also not useful the way Twitter is yet, you know?
Yeah.
So like there's still this like big hole, you know?
Yeah, and Twitter did a lot of cool stuff too in terms of like emergency services. Like Twitter is how I got most of my COVID updates. Because there wasn't a national apparatus to distribute that information because our country is bullshit. But like also like other
McRib coming back.
Yeah, like other countries were able to use it to spread information during media blackouts, during conflicts. Like Twitter had a very useful civic function apart from the Facebook function that it serves. So that's
100%.
And also it's hands down, like I'm old enough, and you guys are as well, because we're all the same age, but we're all old enough that we remember like the progression from like LiveJournal, Blogspot to like MySpace to Facebook and then to Twitter. Like Twitter is hands down the best promotional tool you can have for guys like us, people like us who are in digital
100%.
media and don't have like advertising budget. Like Twitter has been invaluable as a promotional tool. So
Yeah.
that sucks. I hate
And
losing
not
that
just
stuff.
like the end of like promoting like ourselves and stuff like that, but I've used that to like find writers and stuff just because it's just so easy to like, oh, here's this person, they're funny, let's go look at their bio. Okay, they got this stuff. Here's a link to their writing and all of that. It's just a real quick way.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's how Cracked hired Katie Golden, right? Because she did the Birds account.
Yeah, birds rights
activist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she started doing social.
Look, with any luck, Musk will sell Twitter for like $1 million after everybody leaves, and we can all just go back on there. But I don't think that's going to be the case, right? So I don't know. I'm bummed out about the Blue Sky terms of service, but at this point, I would be happy for just someone to go, here's Twitter again over here without Musk, and we can go over there and ride that out until it naturally dies instead of being killed by a billionaire with thin skin.
Mm-hmm.
The thinnest skin. He's translucent. His skin is so thin.
Yeah, you can see everything inside of him.
I still stand by my thing that the greatest purchase in the history of capitalism was Elon Musk buying hair plugs, because none of that happens if he doesn't get those. Like, if he still looked like the PayPal guy, no one would have allowed this to happen.
Right.
He looked like a supervillain. Like, yeah.
He looked like balding Pete Davidson.
Yeah, he looked
And
like
we've-
slightly more handsome Gargamel from
He looked
fucking
like
Smurfs.
he looked like one of the two princes, the bald one.
Hmm.
Who is that? William?
fuck.
Is it William? Who's the old
Yeah,
guy?
I
it is,
think so.
William.
William.
William's
Okay, William's the bald
goofus.
one. Yeah, the goofus. Yeah, that's William. Yeah, he looks like
We've
Prince
talked
William.
about this before. America does not allow balding men to exist anymore.
We sure
you either
don't.
you shave it all off, or you have the hair. Nothing in between. God damn it!
Nope, you can't do the horseshoe anymore. It's a shame.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
You can't.
I feel like Costanza killed it.
Probably.
Him and Larry David. Larry David's like grandfathered in. He's allowed, but
There's a couple of like Stanley Tucci. I think his grandfathered in.
he keeps it nice and tight.
He's
though.
usually
Like,
bald
Gotta keep
these
that
days.
horseshoe
Yeah.
tight, yeah.
He's usually totally bald these days, but sometimes he's got the horseshoe.
So is his Wario David Esquire. So. Have you ever seen a picture of those two side by side? It's fucking amazing.
Hold on. Warrior. There it is.
Nice.
Nice.
We should probably name some producers. What is the time
right.
code? Fucking 12 minutes. Yeah.
It's fine, man.
Hypecast!
Look, we're loosey-goosey. We're loosey-goosey this time. Listen, big thanks to some of our... and you know what? Big thanks to all of our producers. And we're going to list those thank yous right now. Worst intro to this. Worst intro. Big thank you to the lubed up ghost of Dave Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to @NerdNumbers. Thank you to
Great.
Zero Charisma. Thank
you.
you. Thank you to Aaron Burser.
Thank you.
Thank you to AJ.
Thank you.
Thank you to Andrew Howe. Deck the halls with blood. Thank you to Asking Seven.
Thank you.
Thank you to Barry Two Math. Wants you to go to the gym and drink water. Oh, and Scott is life. Love y'all.
Pick it up.
Thank you to Bob Grenville.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, let me swoop in here on the wings of fear. Thank you to Bootler
Yeah.
Bootlesson.
Thank you.
Thank you to Brian, who Tom knows.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you to Brockway Loves the Meat Millie.
He does.
Thank you to Chester's Prophet.
Thank you.
Thank you to Christopher Robert Sparts, Esquire.
Thank you.
Thank you to Dan Hackroyd.
Thank you.
Thank you to Davey, the ghost of East Las Vegas Francis.
Thank you.
And thank you to David Knife Boot Henson.
Knife boot.
Nice boot.
Knife Boot.
Yeah. All right. We're lubed up. We got trailers. Let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Let's raw dog these trailers, folks. It is Dune Part 2.
It's
Got the music. It's got the desert music. It's got fucking Paul, the mystical Paul. He's riding on that worm. There's the threat of Christopher Walken, right, in this movie.
Yeah, Emperor Walken.
Yeah. What do you guys think here? What's your thoughts, Logan? No, nothing. You got nothing. Nothing about this. No
I
opinion.
mean, they did the stereotypical like Middle Eastern music, quote unquote.
Ismatni. David Danny Villeneuve Khosh Bezumal. That's my
Okay.
opinion there. Yeah. So
Okay.
he's good, but he's a jackass. Yeah, it's just not one Arab person, not one. Really?
No.
On the sequel, I guess he
Not
got
allowed.
somebody in a supporting role from there, but nope. Yeah, so, like, okay, here's one of the things that I keep getting feedback whenever I say this, is people are like, well, it's a foreign world, it's, thousands of years in the
Right, it's
future. They're
aliens
not.
or whatever.
Except if you look into the fucking story, they're all evolved from Earth. Like, the Freemen are based off of, like, how Islam evolves over 10,000 years, because that's what Herbert was trying to do with those novels. So, no.
Right.
You should cast at least one Arab person on there.
Well, yeah,
they use
also,
Arab
like,
words. They use Islamic culture in there. It's
the
just
fucking
fucking
music.
weird, man. I don't need Javier Bardem. Sorry.
No, they're invoking that imagery. They specifically are. Yeah, no, I understand that.
And they're too
Yeah.
cowardly to even use. Like, I understand why they took out the word jihad, but it's like you're just trying to.
It's a charged
it's-
word.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
just obnoxious. I liked the first one from an artistic standpoint because, he's a good director. But again, he's a jackass.
He's an incredible director. And I got to say, I know, Tom, you liked the first one, I think, a little more than me. I liked the first one fine, but I actually think Dune is my least favorite of his work. I want to see something more like Prisoners again. Or honestly, like Enemy, something
I want him
weird
to
and
get-
smaller scale again.
I was about to say I do want him to go back to the personal stories like Enemy and Prisoners, because he's just been with this and Blade Runner, like he's just kind
Very
of been doing
big.
big shit. Same thing with
Yeah.
Arrival too.
It's big. It's big, but it's like lonely, if that makes sense. Well, especially Blade Runner.
It does.
Like Blade Runner still felt profound to me. I really liked that one.
I really liked Blade Runner. I thought I couldn't believe someone had made a successful sequel to Blade Runner. And I think there was certain things that made that, like, he had the right cast. Dune kind of doesn't have...
I think he understands it, too. And I think he was trying to transfer that same feeling to... the same feeling that Deckard has in Blade Runner, where it's like, I'm the guy, but I feel, like, isolated. I feel alone. He sort of... I mean, that's Paul Atreides in Dune, where it's like, you're the guy. He's like, I guess.
Right. It's more to me like... Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, but Blade Runner is way more meditative than Dune is. Dune is a lot of, like, Game of Thrones world building. I still ate it up. I loved it. But, like,
Right.
I do recognize that I agree. It's probably his weakest film.
Yeah, it's also kind of personal where it's that I don't particularly like the world that much anyway. Where I like cyberpunk, Blade Runner shit, like that stuff speaks to me a little more. Go on,
So
Logan.
this kind of goes to the thing that I think is the problem, and I know I harped on him originally and the lack of representation, but that's the issue with it, and that's why I keep bringing it up. When you see something like Black Panther, where it's made by a bunch of people from that culture, when you see something like Shang-Chi, where it's made by a bunch of people from that culture, you can feel like the actual authenticity of like people who care about that, like really like bleeding through, even though it's a fantastical superhero type thing that's not based in the real world. Dune lacks that because, again, you don't have that representation. It comes off a little bit as hollow and just kind of like you have people mispronouncing words. You have people like talking about the desert and stuff, and it's like, you're Zendaya. What are you talking about here?
I also,
like,
I think the plot is like alienating on its own, so that you really could have, like, it really needed something like that to bring that warmth, that like. I get what you like, where it's like it's not very accessible of a plot. It's a lot of fucking desert and rocks and serious people, and so like it might have needed more of that touch to it. I don't know. Again, very good director. It's just it hasn't spoken to me as a story really so far.
Yeah, it doesn't have that like intimacy of like authenticity, and it's kind of weird. And honestly, like when we were talking about Enemy and Prisoner, I think I just want him to make something with a weirdo Jake Gyllenhaal again.
Yeah,
that's what I think he's been lacking.
I also I liked Arrival. I don't mind big scale. I think what it is like he's telling other people's stories now, and like I wouldn't call this a big Hollywood movie because this is not a one for them situation, I don't think. I think he just wanted to fucking make Dune and everybody let him, and that's fine. But like, yeah, I guess it feels I think he's better when he's dealing with like, I don't know, more human stories. Less like big epics like this.
Right.
More personal stories.
Yeah, like I'll agree that Dune is his weakest, and I think it's because it's not a personal story. It's just it's kind of like Dune is kind of just a pew pew story. Like there's themes in it that are related. You know, like Herbert wrote it after spending I think at least 1 year up in Alaska watching Alaskan native cultures and their relationship with whales and stuff, and how like the whaling industry was encroaching upon that. So I know that it has like themes that are resonant, but like it really is just kind of a Star Wars. So it feels much less personal. Yeah.
It's Star Wars on the 60s Middle East oil crisis. Like like, I mean, there's a reason it's called Iraq Kiss and that, you know, spice is what they're using there. Like OPEC got founded in the 60s or I think the 50s, like a couple of years before he started writing about it. So there's like things that he's taking from that, and just if you are doing things where you're not actually connected to there, like there's kind of just like that lack that makes it in there. Do you know, it kind of reminds me of when people criticize some of Nolan's movies where they're talking about like how he doesn't care really that much about character and stuff, and he's more about like the plot. I feel like this is him doing a little bit of that in there, where his strength really has been like getting character out of shit. Like like Blade Runner, he actually got a lot of good character moments in there. Like his other movies have that character stuff. This one's a little cold.
Blade Runner's not like Blade Runner's not like a space opera type franchise. That totally makes sense.
Yeah, Villeneuve, like it's the weirdest thing about, because whenever I think about him as a director, he feels like a Nolan in that it's like big epic scale, you know, like IMAX type of shit. But he actually does do a lot of good character stuff.
Like Arrival.
Exactly. Way more so, way more than Nolan does, you know? And so, like, that's why Dune, in my mind, it feels like a really good fit. But then watching it, I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's lacking something from, you know, his other films. It really is, I think, the people aspect, the characters.
Yeah. I will say that Logan never made the connection between Iraq and Arrakis until right now.
Arrakis.
Lucas shit.
It's so fucking obvious too.
So like OPEC was founded in Baghdad in like 55 or like 60s, right before this happened, and OPEC is what like led to like the Middle East like becoming a oil like strong point in there. So it's there's some really good videos you can watch where it's like 10-minute explainer on that shit, but like the more you watch it, you're like, wait a minute, fucking what? And it's like, oh wow, they really did not include most of this shit in the movie. Right. And I can see, when I was seeing that, I can see why the books have a lot more fans, because there's a lot more depth in like the different novels that Herbert seemed to touch on, because he really did think about like how religion would evolve over 10,000 years and stuff, and just it's not there when you're watching the screen. And as you said, it's like it's a little bit cold off of there, which is again weird, because you don't expect that from Denis with like his other films. So
but Dune will always have book energy. Like, you just know watching, you're like, this feels like a fucking book.
Well, I do get, I've not read the books, but I do get the sense, piggybacking off of what Logan was saying, that everything I've read about Herbert himself, it does seem like he was a pretty thoughtful dude. So I wouldn't be surprised that all of the books would be way more nuanced than these movies.
Again, this feels like someone took a nerd's book and then they fit it into 2 movies, which they still need. Like, this feels like they need a fucking mini series for this shit.
They did one in the aughts.
They're doing it. They're doing a mini series on HBO Max. It's about the
Dune.
What's her name? No, the weird his mom. That whole like sect that she's in. I think it's
the
like
Bene Gesserit.
Yeah, I think it's about them. And
the
that's
creepies.
what it's going to be on Max. I think he's directing, or at least he's producing it. And he talked, so we're going to get a lot more fucking Dune is what I'm saying.
I don't know if we need a lot more Dune, but okay.
I'm into it. I'm into it.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully.
Like I said, my complaints aside, like, it's cool visually. And just, like, the desert is always the desert just gives you a very neat visual aspect to it with just how wide and expansive it is. So,
For sure.
You know,
You got
We'll see.
Skarsgård flying around.
Yeah,
you
you
know,
do.
there's
You
some
do.
fun
You got a
stuff.
flying Skarsgård.
Yeah.
we got
Well,
an Elvis in this one.
You sure
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Way less cool looking than Sting was.
yeah.
He just
yeah.
sort of looks like powder. He looks. You know what he looks like? He looks like Kif from Futurama.
Oh fuck,
Looks
he
like
does.
sexy powder.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Sultry
Wow.
powder. Powder whom fucks.
Yeah, powder who went to Abercrombie.
Sex powder.
Sex powder.
Let's move on.
Yeah. So we got, the event of the century. Twisted Metal, the series? TV series?
Yeah, it's a TV show.
TV show?
Yeah.
So now we're talking about a series that's about characters.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So
Hell
I
yeah.
think they're turning this into like a Mad Max. From what I can tell, I think the plot is that it's going cross country. Like it's a
Like
it's
Death
not
Race.
Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run.
Death Race.
Yeah. And it's got what's his name? Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie,
as, is he Roadhog? I want to say.
From what I understand, he's Atlas. Which,
Atlas?
if you remember from the
Wait.
Twisted Metal games,
You mean
Axel?
Axel?
That's right, Axel.
No,
Axel's the
he's
guy
not
who's locked in the
Axel.
wheels.
Yeah,
All I-
no, that is not
pisses me off.
Axel.
No, I mean,
I want Axel. I want Axel to be that guy locked in the wheels, and I want him to die immediately, and I want him for every other episode just to be a corpse in the wheels and somehow win everything.
Okay,
That
I'm
would be
looking
amazing.
it up. His name is John Doe. I get. He's Roadkill. He's Roadkill.
Roadkill.
He's a
Okay,
guy
I
who
was
doesn't
close.
have. He's a guy who doesn't have any memory. That's right. That's Roadkill.
He's the most
Okay.
generic car, and I remember him from the games because he was the most generic car, which does make sense for finding a main character for this. Is like, do the most generic one, and that is the most like you don't want it to be the cop. You don't want it to be the cop, and you certainly don't want it to be Axel as the main character.
I would love Axel as the main character. He's just
I mean,
sitting
I would
there
too,
the
and it
whole
would just be
fucking time.
That would be
him just
awesome. Just
constantly
locked in his
lamenting how he
machine.
sucks.
I want him
No
to
one
die
wants
in
to
the
pick
first
him.
20 seconds and just him locked in for the whole time, and he's still the main character somehow.
okay.
Axel sucks.
So this sucks. Like, I'm reading about the show. Like, Twisted Metal, I think, would make a great show, right? Because the premise of the game is it's a demolition derby, essentially, where everybody's competing for the right to make a wish. Like, the guy who holds the tournament is a guy named Calypso. He's magic. He can grant wishes, but he grants
Right,
them in a
and-
fucked up monkey's paw kind of way.
He's a wishmaster. I remember. Is it one of them wants to go back to hell? The character is like a devil that wants to go to hell, and at the end they send him to hell, fucking Michigan or
Hell,
whatever.
Michigan. It's
Yeah.
it's Minion. Minion was a sub boss in the original game, and then he became playable in the other game.
Playable. Yeah, it's like Mortal Kombat where everybody got their an ending, and it was always
Yeah.
them not getting what they wanted.
Right,
And
like that-
Twisted Metal. By the way, make a Twisted Metal show, sure, but you know what you really should be doing? Making a new goddamn game. For the
Right,
love
that's
of
the
Christ.
other weird thing. There hasn't been a Twisted Metal game since 2011, I believe.
Yeah.
So
give us a
it's-
new goddamn game, you fucks.
It's-
Sorry, I'm mad
Especially
about
with like
this.
online gaming, it just seems like that would be an easy ass dunk.
Yeah.
Right. It's weird that like this is coming out in 2023 when there hasn't been a Twisted Metal game in over a decade. It's really strange.
I swear
but anyway,
to Christ.
so as I said, the Twisted Metal as it is would make a great show, right? You'd watch an entire season to see who got to the end, to see what their wish was, and to see how it gets granted. There's a lot of like, it's not quite a mystery box, but there's a lot of like hooks there. It's like, oh, keep watching
Right.
to see who
and
wins
I know they're
because
not doing that.
you're going to find out what their wish was, and you're going to find out how Calypso grants it in a fucked up way that screws them. But this show is John Doe, Anthony Mackie, who is Roadkill, is basically he's just a bag man. He's given a mission, according to the Wikipedia plot summary, to traverse the desolate world to deliver a cryptic package in order to stay alive. Alongside the assistance of Quiet, a rash car thief, Doe faces a life-altering opportunity but must confront ruthless marauders and deadly and destructive vehicles to secure a chance at a better future. That seems to hint at there might be a wish involved, but like the base premise is like so totally not what the game is. So that has me
Right.
worried.
That's what I was saying. It's not Mortal Kombat for cars. It's now It's fucking Mad Max. It's a mission. It's a cross country. That bothers me. I do think they're going to make all the cameos in the form of the cars that show up to stop them. They'll be the evil cop car. I really hope Axel's in it, and I really hope he takes care of him in 4 seconds, like we've been saying. I also want to point out that fucking Sweet Tooth, which is in the trailer, is being played by Samoa Joe with Will Arnett as the voice.
Yep.
Also, Thomas Hayden Church is in this, so and
I
Nev
love
Campbell.
how they just included Sweet Tooth. It's like, oh no, don't worry, we have Sweet Tooth. Don't worry.
He's gonna be like the final boss. I assume he's gonna be like the shark from Jaws. He's gonna be constantly like. That's my guess. My guess is that he'll run into the other cars, but it'll mostly, like the big bad will be Sweet Tooth. Because he's the most iconic, right?
Of the characters from the game, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope he just acts like the clown from Metalocalypse, honestly.
Oh, Dr. Oxo?
I too can.
You did have my ass kicked, though, and that shit hurt. Okay.
Yeah, there is and there isn't a good way to make a Twisted Metal show. I feel like it's always a little dumb. Like they should just make a new game. That's the best thing to do with Twisted Metal, is make a new game, because it's best as a game. But if you make a show, honestly, I would actually say make a movie instead. Put money into, I would say put more money into less time, so you can actually have car stunts and shit, and go Fast and Furious, right? Just go just out of control. Just do the stupidest stuff possible, right?
Yeah. I think
I'm still gonna watch this piece of shit, because why not? It's a Twisted Metal TV show.
Yeah, why wouldn't I watch it? I'll disagree slightly, because I think, as I said, I think Twisted Metal could work really well as a TV show. Because each season could be who's going to win this time? What's their wish? How's it going to get granted?
Right. But it's going to be a lot of money for that, right?
For sure.
Practically speaking.
Right. It would have to be a huge hit. It would have to be a Game of Thrones hit. But yes. I also wanted to say that I do think in this trailer, I think the tone is right.
Yeah.
There's a nihilistic devil may care, real teenage edgelord kind of tone to Twisted Metal, and this trailer really captures it very well.
Yeah. And while I was offended by CD players being a joke, a big fucking joke in this, and CD sleeves, I was like, hey, I have those. That is the era to invoke too. I like the idea that it's clearly an apocalypse that started in maybe the late 2000s. You know what it should be? They should be a universe where Y2K was a problem. That's what they should be. This should be a post Y2K catastrophe.
Yeah, because Twisted Metal is a very 90s series.
That's what I was going to say. Because it's a very 90s, early 2000s series, it makes sense to kind of center it there, which it feels like it is.
Len was the right choice for the music.
Incredible choice. Yeah. That's 90% of the trailer nailing the tone, is the fact that they selected Steal My Sunshine by Len.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do think they're making good decisions in this trailer, and I don't know. I guess I'm just saying it's Twisted Metal. I don't expect much from this.
Yeah, it's stupid enough to give at least one episode a shot, because there's no way it's not going to be dumb enough to be fun for at least one ep.
And the people who made this, it looks like they were responsible for Deadpool and Deadpool 2
and Zombieland,
and Deadpool 3, and so they're probably the right people to make this.
Right, Zombieland is very close to the Twisted Metal tone, and Deadpool as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of their sense of humor, but it is a good fit, in my opinion, for Twisted Metal. I just do think my biggest fear, I guess, is this is Peacock, and who knows how much money they put into it. So I'm just scared that there's just not going to be that much that they'll be able to do, I really want Twisted Metal to feel like Fast and the Furious. I want cars fucking, I want a car driving up the fucking Eiffel Tower. And I want the Eiffel Tower to explode like you could do it in the game. And I want all that shit. And it does make sense to make it kind of a road trip for that reason. But they could have done Mortal Kombat where they have to just keep going to these famous areas. Point is that I just hope they have the budget to do the Twisted Metal that I'm picturing in my head.
I hope that, you know how usually like shows like this, they'll take a detour episode where they focus on one character and they show like their life before everything went to shit.
Yeah.
I hope that there's a very serious drama for Sweet Tooth.
Yeah, I hope it's like
just
The Last of Us.
Yeah, like a Last of Us, but it's still Samoa Joe with Will Arnett's voice, and it's just very somber and serious about him becoming a clown.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
No, this is... I'm going to watch this piece of shit. I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it. Any other thoughts on this?
No, I'm all set.
No.
All right. Well, this is the trailer for Gran Turismo next, which is not something I need in my life. It's apparently based off a true story, and I looked into it, and there was indeed a Gran Turismo player who became like, who didn't race until they were like fucking like in their late or early 20s or something, like where it was like nobody had ever like started that late in their life, and they didn't win, but they placed high in a bunch of races, and then, you know, like I was surprised when they said based off a true story. I was like, no, it's not. But it is.
No, it's Jan Martin. It's Jan Martinborough, which I knew his story, and I knew they were making a movie. I just didn't put two and two together that this was what the movie was. I'm like, oh yeah, no shit. This is what the fucking movie was gonna be.
Yeah, of course it's the Gran Turismo movie.
He's still racing and stuff, and he's actually like, I mean, he's like a legitimate racer, but he's very popular because of, you know, the background story and things. The thing I'm wondering is if they're gonna include the race where he accidentally killed a person. But we'll see.
We'll see. So, it seems like they showed the entire fucking plot in
They sure
trailer.
did. They sure do show the entire movie.
Yeah.
They do show him crashing, which is what I think is... I hope that's not going to lead to the one where where a spectator died. That's going to be a very weird thing.
This is... I'm not a racing movie person. If someone's a racing movie person, I'm sure this is good for them. But, like, I need missiles. I need a clown car, you know? Clearly. So this isn't for me.
I'm interested because this is directed by Neil Blomkamp, and the thing that I'm surprised about and I've wanted for a long time was for him to direct something where he didn't write the script because he's a bad writer. So
he is.
The person who wrote this is the writer for King Richard and Creed 3. So I'm kind of just seeing him not fucking up a movie with his terrible writing.
Yeah. I love that Orlando Bloom's stuck in this for some reason, and that David Harbour is. Yeah, David Harbour kind of makes the trailer for me where it's like he feels like the most charismatic because everybody's so fucking serious in this trailer.
It's clear. The trailer makes it clear that the movie is kind of hinging on David Harbour.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, hey, we got him. We got him. He's doing his David Harbour bit. You guys love it.
Yeah, he's being charismatic. Yeah. And it's like good because no one else feels charismatic.
Yeah.
The main character feels like a fucking like an NPC. So I don't know.
Everyone loves a good sports training montage where people start puking.
Yeah.
It's just always a classic.
I watched We Are Marshall recently for that other podcast. Sports movies, man. When they're just straight sports movies, they just do not interest me. I can't.
There's one other thing I wanted to call out about this trailer, and that is race car driving, like NASCAR, Formula One, what have you, often gets a lot of shit for not being a real sport. So you're like, oh, you're just turning left, and it's really funny. It's like the sports ball of race car or NASCAR commentary. It's like, oh, you're just turning left. But so I like that the trailer points out that you have to train like a fucking astronaut to drive these cars because of the sheer force involved. You're going over 200 miles per hour in these cars.
I'm reminded,
Yeah, not only that, but he also, the real guy, switched over to Formula One and shit, which is like all the curves and stuff like that, not just the circle tracks. So he's, like I said, he's a legitimate driver. So
that's the car.
It seems that way. Movie.
In point of fact, that's the car you see crash in the trailer is a Formula One car. It's not a NASCAR.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking that's the real event that they're talking about. That actual video is fucking terrifying because somebody in the stands is like filming it and the thing crashes like 10 feet away from them. It is a horrific video.
Final Destination. Yeah.
Yes, it does look like a Final Destination thing, actually.
Yeah. Well, they made one with the fucking race car track. Yeah, I don't know. This looks fine. I'm sure it's going to be good. not for me. And speaking of things that's not for us, this next trailer is The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Terrible name. Two thes? Are you kidding me? The Hunger Games, The Ballad? Come on.
The Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, no, it's all bad. Stop it.
A Song of Ice and Fire game of Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm the wrong person to talk about this trailer. I don't care about Hunger Games. I don't.
So
I think
literally not watched one Hunger Game.
I've watched all of them. I've watched all of them.
Is that young fucking guy supposed to be young Donald Sutherland?
Yes.
So
God.
I have not spicy takes, but I have thoughts on this because I watched all the Hunger Games, and dare I say, I liked the last film of the Hunger Games. I actually ended up liking the story more than I ever thought I would, because it actually ends by saying something.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that it was going to. This is, of course, the director of the other ones, and also the director of Constantine.
My problem, just to real quick, my problem is that's all the movies had to say. It took 4 hours, and I mean, it took 4 movies and I don't know, 10 hours of film to say one very obvious thing about conflict.
100%. In terms of dystopian films, it is. I mean, it's part of that young adult dystopian thing where they drained that concept.
It's also
ultimately they didn't actually want to say much.
It's a totally stupid concept too. I think we've talked about this before, but the idea that people would just
accept this.
You to take their children to fight to the death in a game every year. I get from a satirical point of view, it's being oh, they're so subjugated and the regime is so oppressive that this is tolerated. This extreme thing is tolerated. But the notion of pitting regions against each other for food, that makes sense. But making it be their children is weird.
Well, it's
the same problem I had with I love Battle Royale, but I think that the idea is fucking ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It's they treat it oh, this is how you really keep a society in line, is by stealing their children once a year and murdering them. It's no, that's how you get a citizenry to revolt.
Well,
to rise up against you.
Battle Royale was done in tongue-in-cheek. The problem with Hunger Games, the first movie, is not only is that happening, but no one is happy with it. And so that, to me, is the problem, is if you do a dystopian film where it's a ridiculous dystopia where you're how could this ever happen? You still at least need the citizens to be on board, because the problem with the first Hunger Games is it's these fucking ridiculously dressed people we are battling your kids, and everybody around being well, we don't like this very much, and it's how did this happen?
Right. Nobody's into it.
Yeah,
and it's they spend all their time training elite warriors, turning their kids into elite warriors so that they can compete in these games if they happen to get selected. So all you're doing is creating a generation of elite warriors. How does that fucking make sense if you're trying to keep...
How are you subjugated by someone with bells on their shoes?
Exactly, yeah. How are you subjugated by elf on a shelf?
When the little girl dies in the first one, everybody's that's it, we're rioting. And it's why does not... How is that not happening every fucking year?
She's not the first 12-year-old that died in this tournament.
Exactly.
How are people not cheating? At least one district would try to shoehorn a Brock Lesnar looking motherfucker and oh no, he's only 14.
And a little
people
beanie hat.
Yeah, people cheat in youth basketball.
Yeah.
You're thinking they're not going to cheat on a district thing?
That's
Come on.
We're gonna
funny.
fight to the death to see if we get to eat. Yeah, we're gonna fucking. We're gonna get some fucking Eastern European dude that's 10 feet tall,
John Cena and The Rock
with no birth certificate. Yeah, and we're gonna tell him he was born in fucking 2011 or whatever.
But in specific to this, the thing I wanted to talk about is the reason Star Trek Discovery rubbed me the wrong way is because they're hey, you want to see us fight the Klingons again? And I'm not really. What I like about Star Trek is the story advances. If fucking The Handmaid's Tale was we're going to do a prequel where everything sucks, I'm no, I don't want to see that. I don't want to, in a dystopian film, I want to see the characters break the dystopia. I don't want to go back. unless you have something to say. And a very good comparison to me is The Purge, because The Purge is another situation where you go, well, how did that happen? Like, that's not realistic. That's silly. And then the first Purge, you realize, had a lot more to say than you actually would have thought they did, right? They had things to say about class. And, of course, again, it's all a big metaphor. But then they made the first Purge, and you're like, okay, well, what's that going to be? Again, it still seems silly. And they actually like tried to make a believable scenario where we got into this place, right? They actually wanted to say something. And if you remember the first Purge, the idea is that no one actually kills each other, and they have to spoilers. They have to shake the fucking jar. They have to simulate a purge happening so that it becomes a paranoid society where everybody is feeling like everybody else is
right. It's a commentary on the way American society is heading right now, where a lot of unpopular fascistic laws are being passed against the will of the American people, and that's what the first Purge did.
That was smarter than it needed to be.
Yep.
And I guess what I'm saying is that I don't think this is going to be that. I don't think they're going to show how the first Hunger Games would have realistically happened. I think they just want more money.
Right.
I think it's going to be, look at how Donald Sutherland got sad.
Exactly.
Right. Like that's
sexy young Donald Sutherland.
That's the other thing. It's a real Crimes of Dumbledore situation where it's like, this villain that you've created is not interesting enough for me to give the ghost of a shit about how he became a villain.
And
like
with
Voldemort is way more interesting than Snow ever was, to be clear, but like Snow is so bottom of the barrel in terms of a villain. I don't care how he got to be the way he is. He's just the fucking bad guy. Like he's a
dick.
He's a two-dimensional bad guy. I don't care why he's the way he is.
Right. It's the fundamental flaw with the YA dystopians, which is that like an actual film about a dystopia like Brazil or 1984 or The Purge.
It's not about hot teens fighting in a forest.
Exactly. It's not. It's upsetting. And it's not like baseline upsetting. It's very upsetting. And it's trying to make you upset. And it's trying to say something. Whereas this, it feels like their master is more the producers than it is any message.
I do like how, because it's taking place in the past, it doesn't have the prequels problem where like all the tech was better because, you know, they filmed it later.
Right.
It looks like they're fighting in a fucking warehouse instead of like a huge illustrious like forest setting. It just looks like a shitty like fucking warehouse where they're just killing each other in there. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
and they have like shitty TVs and everything. So, okay, at least they're paying attention to that part.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I'm interested in is I think this is the first time Hunter Schafer has done a project outside of Euphoria. So I'm kind of interested in seeing how she does in this.
Sure.
But I've never seen one of the Hunger Games. So
right. The other thing, of course, is this all died. The YA, like, it's like trying to be a fucking disco band right now.
This bubble burst. This bubble burst. Yeah.
Like, it's not like even Harry Potter, I felt like the bubble burst there, but there's not enough nostalgia here that they're like, oh, we're bringing it back. And it's like, I don't think anybody cares, man.
Right. The last installment of this film franchise came out less than 10 years ago.
Yeah, give it 20 years for fuck's sake. We're doing that thing where the nostalgia is, they're trying to force it. And
you're lapping nostalgia now. Because nothing goes away in the internet age.
Yeah.
They should have had Donald Sutherland play young Donald Sutherland.
Hell yeah.
I would flat out fucking watch the
don't
shit
even
out of
don't
that.
even de-age him with CGI. Just dye his hair and beard. Just dye his hair and beard.
Yes.
As a young man of 20, I don't know how conflicted I feel about these Hunger Games. It would be so good.
Yeah.
These games of hunger.
Let's talk about Wish. Disney's Wish. You guys want to talk about Disney's Wish?
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's all I have to say about this movie.
All right.
Into the Spider-Verse created an arms race, in my opinion, of interesting, evocative, attention-grabbing new animation styles. Disney's Wish, the trailer at least, is like the worst example of that arms race. It's like it feels like when Instagram filters first came out and people were just putting whatever filter on whatever photo just because it was there and they wanted to try it out and see if it landed. That's what this movie feels like. The animation in this movie looks fucking terrible. It looks like
Wait, they're not doing Spider-Verse in this, are they?
they're doing some kind of weird
It's
derivation
Pixar,
of it. It's not that exactly, but it's a
looks like-
stylized type of animation that
It's a blend of 2D and 3D. Pixar did a little experimentation with that with some shorts that they dropped that I think you could see on Disney Plus, but they execute it way better on those.
right.
Yeah,
This looks bad. This looks bad.
Well, here's what I think they're trying to do. I think they're trying to do Disney Renaissance animation.
Yes.
But you're right, is they didn't do it right. So when I watched this trailer, I was just like, something's wrong.
Right. It looks like a Disney Renaissance film with a jacked up fucking Instagram filter on it.
Yeah. Also,
It feels like when they post-convert a movie to 3D and it just feels a little off. Yeah.
yeah. But it apparently is about a woman who gets a wish and she wishes to have her goat talk like Matt Berry. Even though it's Alan Tudyk, by the way, it's not Matt Berry, which is their first mistake. If you're gonna have fucking Matt Berry voice, have Matt Berry do it. But like, I am very confused about what the wish was.
She didn't
because she wished to have
the
this
goat
like.
wished.
Okay, so did she wish to make this little fucking dildo star fly around?
No,
What
the
is-
dildo star is what grants the wish, and then the goat accidentally grabbed it and it threw its wish
But
power
then
on it.
why
and
is
it
there
wished to
also a
talk.
wishmaster? There's the king who's
It's
like,
a
give
lot
me
of
grant.
confusions.
Yeah, it starts with a king being like, tell me your wish, and then he's evil because he's a wishmaster, and it's this lady, and then she wishes on a star, and the star comes alive, and so it's like, okay, what was that her wish to have the star come alive? Because did that dildo, that other dildo, the I think it's Chris Pine playing him, like the weird king guy.
I just assume all dildos are Chris Pine.
Yeah. It seemed like Chris Pine was the wishmaster, and then the star comes alive, so I was like, okay, your wish is to have this little Beanie Baby star, and then the star makes a goat sound like Matt Berry, and I was like, okay, so is that the wish? I'm sorry. Maybe I was just an idiot watching this. I was just unclear about the narrative.
I could kind of follow the narrative. I will say this. I'm glad that they're trying an original story rather than like another fucking Peter Pan or whatever fucking thing.
No.
Like, Disney's actually good about like trying to create a new thing like they did with Frozen. I mean, Frozen wasn't new, but you know what I mean.
But
like,
for all the shit we say about Disney, they do still put out an original animation every now and then, and I agree this animation doesn't look good, but I do think it's a good idea to try to bring back the Renaissance era animation.
Also,
but here's the thing, just animate it.
Just do it. Just fucking do it.
Just do it.
Just
We
pay
would love
people
to
to
say-
animate it.
Yeah.
this movie comes out in November, so there's probably going to be a lot more cleanup on there. But yeah, it looks a little weird, especially compared to, like I said, you could see them doing that exact thing on some of the shorts that it did, and it looks a lot better with that.
Yeah.
It really looks
Yeah.
janky. It looks like a mobile phone game cutscene.
Right.
Yeah, it's strange.
Doesn't look
hard
good.
because I don't want to be mad at this because I want to encourage Disney doing original stories. But yeah, this is it's also just, I think, generally generic as a story because it's like, what Disney movie doesn't involve someone making a fucking wish? Aladdin,
Oh yeah, and the
Little
song about
Mermaid.
wishes and stuff.
Yeah,
like
it's
it's
just like-
very in line with the other Disney setups that they've
It's
had in the
stripped
past.
down. It's like they all have fucking
It's like
wishes in it.
it's like Disney written by AI.
Yes, it really does seem like it might have been written by AI.
It's like how, you know, with superhero movies, they're always going to hit that same beat with like the origin story. This feels like the Disney princess version of that, where they're hitting all of the beats that they need to for establishing a new princess lead.
Yeah, and I hope it's just the trailer because it's just everything about this trailer was just very generic. It appears to be written by 3 people and not AI. I can't wait to see the next trailer. I can't wait for them to tell me what it actually is. I mean,
was one of the writers Cam P. Tear?
no, it's the people behind Frozen, as it says in the thing. So, Frozen's good. They also wrote Zootopia, Wreck-It Ralph. They're associated. They produced Encanto. So, like, this could be very good.
It could be.
It's just the trailer really did not, jazz me up. Didn't get jazzed up by this trailer.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
And again, I'm just bummed that isn't Matt Berry. When I heard the voice, did you guys think it was Matt Berry? Because I sure as fuck did. And
No.
I googled
I
it,
thought
and
that
then
was
it wasn't.
I thought that was Alan Tudyk because
Oh, okay.
Alan Tudyk does so much shit.
Yeah. It just felt like it's about time we get Matt Berry in a Disney. Like,
I don't think Matt Berry is allowed on Disney property or premises. Like,
that's fair. That's fair. All right.
like
let's
as
talk
close
about,
as he's gonna get is doing shit on Hulu. Like,
Yeah.
he won't go anywhere.
I'll tell you how to make a wish, fucker.
This next trailer is for The Wrath of Becky. This is the sequel to Becky, which, if you remember, was about a woman fighting Kevin James as a Nazi.
Not a woman.
This
It's a
one-
little girl.
Little girl, right. And this is her now growing up. This is now the sequel where they've got
Let's
yet
clarify.
another...
Kevin James was the Nazi, not the little girl.
Right. Kevin James
Right.
was the Nazi.
Yep, and now we have another comedic actor. We got Sean William Scott as another white supremacist. And I don't know. I didn't see Becky, but I like
did.
this. I like this pattern.
This trailer made me want to watch the first one.
Yeah.
I like the pattern. I like the trailer. I like casting Sean William Scott as a villain.
Yes.
I will say the first movie is not very good. It's
That's a shame.
it's just bloody. That's all it is. Like the acting's kind of bad, especially from Joel McHale, who plays Becky's dad, who gets murdered in the beginning. There really isn't much to it. It's just violence. So I feel like this is going to be more of that, which is a shame because it's a cool idea, like a sociopathic little a girl home aloneing white supremacist. That's a fun idea. But the original movie never really has fun with it. It treats it very seriously, and it's just very violent and upsetting. And I feel like this movie's probably going to be kind of the same.
So I want to confirm this, but I'm looking at who made this. Would you believe it doesn't appear to be the same people who made the first one, which is very weird.
That is weird.
It's based on characters by, but it appears that the director and the writer didn't make Becky. So they made
That's
something. They made
hopeful,
Hypnotic.
then.
Well, yeah. I mean, it just means that it's going to be a different people on it, which is weird because it's not exactly like a, it's not like a big property. It's not
Look,
Star
little
Wars.
girls pulling a
You'd
death
think-
wish is a good idea.
Yeah.
It's
It's just interesting because you'd assume it'd just be the same people because who's like that's very odd. But it looks like it's different people. So I don't know,
the thing
man.
I really like in the trailer. So like, all right. So for like the setup is these. I guess she was working as a waitress and she spills coffee on these racists' laps because they're fucking douchebags. And they go and they kidnap her dog. And I like how Sean William Scott like points out like, which you don't see in a lot of other movies, is like, hey, we actually have bigger plans and other shit to do. Just
Yes.
give her fucking dog back. Like, it's
Yeah.
the most sensible I've ever heard a villain in that position ever be before, and it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Where he's just like, the fuck are you guys doing? What is this?
Just give her a fucking dog. What do you do? We have enough stuff here to do, like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
we have other things.
there was
Come on.
it was a real John Wick vibe, right? It was the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
like as Michael Blomquist in the first one, where it's just like, can we stop pissing him off, please?
Yeah.
Stop
do want-
antagonizing him.
I want him to team up with a crew with like I want him to get together with Nazi Kevin James to get together with Nazi Patrick Stewart and just be like the team of unlikely Nazis. Like I just love this casting of like casting these people that we don't think of this way as terrifying characters. It's just interesting to do, you know? So I'm going to watch this just from the morbid curiosity of Sean William Scott playing a Nazi.
Like I said, I just like the idea of a little girl terrorizing these shitty white supremacists. It's
Oh, yeah,
just a funny,
100%.
it's an inherently funny premise.
Yeah,
and
I've
it's just
been-
fun to watch.
I've been meaning to watch Becky. I think I didn't because I think Tommy had pointed out that it was like mid.
It's
fine.
it's real mid. It's real mid.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but it's definitely not what I thought it was going to be, and it was pretty disappointing.
Yeah. So be it. But yeah, Wrath of Becky. New writers, new director apparently. Our final trailer this sprung up out of fucking nowhere. Next Goal Wins. This is fucking Taika.
Yeah, Taika Waititi.
Yeah, this is him writing and directing. Michael Fassbender returning to weird comedy, which is one of those things that, like, what was that fucking movie called?
Frank, where he wears the mascot head.
Yeah, I liked that movie. I thought he was very good in that movie. It's nice to see him do something weird again, because I think he's a weird guy. He hasn't been in anything since fucking X-Men Dark Phoenix.
It's been a minute since we've seen Fassbender, yeah.
Fassbender, I really like him as a actor, and I've gotten this feeling of like he blew up and then he just vanished, you know? And that bummed me out.
He took a lot of high-profile stuff like Magneto and Assassin's Creed and
Alien Covenant,
Prometheus, yeah,
and the Snowman. He was Harry Hole. He was the Harry Hole.
Yep.
No, but that's what I mean. Is he blew up and then Dark Phoenix happened, and then he was like, "I guess I'm taking a break." But he's got a bunch of shit in development. So,
this is another sports movie based off of a true story. So this is kind of like this one. I actually like as soon as I saw the title, I'm like, oh, they're doing this now, and I'm kind of glad because, like with Tika, he's of Samoan descent. Like this is kind of a great. I like that he's actually using like his platform to kind of tell more stories about his people and stuff like that, which is going to be great because this story is super interesting too. If you guys don't follow soccer, like them. Everything you see about them being like a shitty lower tier FIFA team and everything is true. And it also, I believe, was the first FIFA team to have a trans person on there, which is also another great aspect in there.
That's cool.
And it looks like they're keeping that character in the actual movie. And it's also got a Boba Fett in the cast, if you guys didn't notice. So,
no, yeah. He's in the,
I do seem to remember this team. The story is the American Samoa team got blown out in early aughts, right?
They were like the consistently lowest ranked team in all of the global rankings for FIFA. Like, and so
they literally got shut out though the year before, right? And that's why they bring Fassbender's character in. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they bring him in. I don't want to spoil the movie for people who don't follow sports, but there's an actual documentary that I think is of the exact same name that kind of goes into this. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens with that story, and it's a good sport. It's going to be a good romp, I think. It's going to be fun, and Tika is bringing the comedy, so I'm actually looking forward to this one a lot.
I mean,
it looks funny. I love Taika's movies. So
I was about to say he can do no wrong for me, really.
Ragnarok.
I am
not
wondering
Ragnarok.
How they're going to handle
Love and
some of the
right.
Yeah,
well,
not to spoil things, but there's some darker stuff too in here. So I'm wondering if he's going to include that aspect.
I mean,
of it.
probably
So,
Jojo Rabbit.
yeah.
What we've learned about him is he's very good at walking the line. That's what makes him, I think, a very talented director and writer, is that he can kind of flip on a dime in a very believable way. I was going to say with Love and Thunder, he definitely does a lot of studio stuff, but even that stuff, there's a floor there where it's like, I still like it to some extent. Like I was seeing he's attached to the Tower of Terror movie, and the thing that bums me out is it doesn't look like he's writing it, and I'm like, well, don't do that. But like, I don't know. He's doing a great job in my mind of like, he does these studio films, he does these personal films, he's going back and forth, he's getting paid, and like, he's hard to not like along the way. You know what I mean? Like, even when it's a movie that I don't particularly like the last Thor, I'm still like, he comes out of it clean to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He's not the problem with his movies if they don't succeed.
Right,
usually.
he makes studio movies, and like he does as much as he can with what they give him. I don't know. I'm very excited for this one, and again, Michael Fassbender doing comedy, man. That's
a treat.
That's a treat. You don't get that every day.
No.
Yeah, no. I like him as a comedy straight man, which is kind of what he feels like in this, and he just feels perfect in that role.
It feels it feels real Bad News Bears, right?
Yes. It's very Bad News Bears because he's just slopping on the booze.
Yeah, and he's cantankerous.
So he's getting out of the Dark Phoenix jail, and it looks like Jennifer Lawrence is getting out with that comedy. So we just need to get James McAvoy out of the Phoenix jail.
Is she getting out of that jail, or is she moving from one jail to another jail with that comedy?
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't look great.
I was thinking about that.
Called?
I don't remember.
All I know is it's her dating a teen. That's yeah.
I had this weird thing the other day where I was wondering like what happened to Jennifer Lawrence, and then I kind of looked at her IMDb, and it doesn't actually seem like she's putting out movies the same pace as she always was. She just sort of blew up in the news more, right? Like
she got pregnant and she took some time off because of that.
I don't know. I wish her the best. She's had some I don't think she's a bad actress, but
she's great in Winter's Bone. She's fucking great.
She's just made some bad decisions in terms of the films to be in, she hasn't been in a movie that fucking Passengers,
I just want her to stay the fuck away from David O. Russell.
Yeah, I mean everybody should, like in general.
Yeah. Yes,
like for their own
good
safety.
Life advice.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's
Fassbender. That movie's called No Hard Feelings, the one where she fucks a teen for his car.
Right. Fassbender, I felt his absence more because it felt like he really vanished for a little bit. But again, it's only been a few years. What do I expect, And I guess you were saying McAvoy. He's in the Sandman series and a few other things, so he's around.
I need to I only saw the first half of that. I didn't finish it, so I need to see him pop up. But I did not know McAvoy was in there, so I'm excited to finish that now.
They all three of them feel like actors who had late 20-teens, really blew up and had to take a beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's fantastic in Glass, which is a good movie. Despite
McAvoy's
what Tom
good.
says.
Yeah, that's a bad film, but
Yeah.
I like McAvoy all right. Yeah. Well, shit, that's trailers, right? Did we do all the trailers?
We sure did, Dave.
Well, let's thank some more producers now.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Big thank you to Deborah is awesome, Barbara is great, and cancer can go to hell.
Thank you.
Thank you to Dracula, the bus-driving vampire.
Thank you.
Thank you to Driftless wrote Mabel's name in the Witch's Book of Blood.
Thank you.
Thank you to E.T. the Extravagant Terresticle. Thank you to Evil Ed 209.
Thank you.
Thank you to Exploding Runes.
Thank you.
Thank you to Funky J. Mostly comes out at night. Mostly.
Thank you.
Thank you to Glitterous. Glitterous, CFO of Michael Shannon's Chocolate Factory.
Thank you.
Thank you to Heathcliff's Helping Handfuls.
Thank you so much. All right, let me swoop in here. Thank you to Ombre Says, Mabel, step on me.
Yes.
Thank you to ImpossibleWorlds.net. Issue 1 is now free. Issue 2 releases in June.
Thank you.
Thank you to James Cameron's Prolapse Locomotive.
Always.
Thank you to Chris Shanovich.
Thank you.
Thank you to Look Mom on a podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mackenzie Fuck Shuffling with Willem Dafoe's confusingly large dick. Chill.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mercurial Oz.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mike the Lurker.
Thank you.
Thank you to musical guest Rob Ritchie.
Thank you.
Thank you to No One Can Hear You Scream and Space McNulty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we talked about it last week, but the WGA strike is a go. It is happening. There's been some very silly online commentary about AI, which there's some news that studios are pursuing that. I don't think they're going to get very far. Every time someone gives an example, check this out. Did you see that Mandalorian one?
No.
Someone, it's not worth mentioning. It was just some random commenter that everybody dunked on because Twitter now elevates the worst thoughts. The most mediocre ideas was just I put in a Mandalorian. See? And it's the worst fucking. It's really funny.
Right.
How many times people are like the one where Den Shapiro is someone was write a comedy about this, and then the script isn't funny. And then
There's
he's
a 30
see?
Rock one that's horrible.
It's the least creative people in the world who think this is good.
It's people without the commitment to do fanfic. Say what you will about fanfic, at least those fuckers write the goddamn things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. It's just, these people are fucking, they're just, I don't know. I try, it's noise, Again, Twitter, it's just we're going to elevate the stuff that used to be, hidden replies. It's all people who are paying for an emoji. I don't expect their opinions to be very good on this matter. It's just always shocking because every tweet about the WGA strike, you click the replies and it's just the worst. It's people who are like, nothing lost here. And it's like, you do understand how things are made, right?
Yeah.
They start with writing, but okay. So
it's either that or somebody just being irrationally angry. Like, where are my stories?
I can't get my stories.
Yeah. It's real bad. But yeah, obviously all the late night shows, it's going to be that thing where like Netflix bought a bunch of shows from Korea. So there's going to be like, it won't, depending on how long it goes, we won't notice right away. I think the Game of Thrones or something, they were like, we already have our scripts. But people will start feeling it slowly if this doesn't end. And, personally, they should end by the studios giving them what they want, right?
Yeah, it's none of the demands are unreasonable at all.
They want like 3% out of all of the fucking
right,
thing.
and they
it's
want
not that much.
Yeah, and they just want to guarantee that AI is not used to write scripts.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I've been hearing now that studios are going to they've been using AI to write scripts that they're then going to pay writers after the strike to rewrite. And it's like, so it's still going to be the most derivative shit ever. Yeah.
Paying them the lesser fee because they only get,
And the AI is they're using other people's work. That's
the AI is derivative. All the AI does, it's just a predictive text. And all it does is it draws from existing text that you tell it to draw from. So if you tell it, make me a funny movie starring Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz, it's just going to draw from funny movies starring Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz.
Yeah. Cody was pointing out...
All it takes is one plagiarism lawsuit, and this is all going to get fucked.
Yep.
Because they're going to absolutely do that.
Oh,
and on top of it,
it's a plagiarism tool.
I'm pretty sure one of the court judges said, in terms of, actual artwork, I don't know if they did this in terms of script writing, but for actual art, they said you cannot copyright it because it's based off of that. So if studios can't copyright their screenplays that are based off of other things like that, you're not going to get money, motherfucker.
Right. It's really bad.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. You said Cody was saying something?
Oh, no, Cody was pointing out how all these ChatGPT scripts always include the line of someone saying, what the hell? I don't know if you've noticed that, but he pointed that out to me, and now I can't unsee it. It's it's the most derivative shit in the world.
It's like when you point out We've Got Company is in every movie, then you start noticing it. It's just one of those things
that just happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's I've noticed there's people, again, the terrible comments who are like, well, writers, everything sucks already. Palpatine has returned and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but who's doing that? It's the studio making the writers do that shit. That's what they don't, it's like this weird idea of being like, we shouldn't pay the writers. Look at the bad things they've written. And it's like, it's not them who's the problem when that happens.
The executives are creating an outline with things that need to be included, and the writers are doing their best.
Yeah, they didn't just let a writer write Star Wars on his own, and then that's how it came out. It's very silly. And we have so much work. I've gotten a few people who are like, will some more news be affected? And it's like, internet writers don't even have a way into the WGA.
Nope.
And that's how far behind we are with this stuff.
Yeah.
That's something that I think needs to be discussed. Obviously, after this strike, is that the WGA doesn't have they haven't even been able to update to include, it's the same with SAG, where it's there are fucking shows on the internet that get more views than TV shows, and the writers and performers in that don't get points towards these guilds.
I have direct-to-camera videos that I've written and performed that more people have watched than several TV shows.
Right, and it doesn't go towards SAG.
Nope.
And so that's how far behind we are in this, because that's not it's frustrating because obviously it's the unions themselves have to update, but I completely understand they still have to get their ducks in the row with this shit, with the people they're already representing. So that's how fucking far behind in this conversation.
They can't get the shit fair and together on the main stage. So there's no way we're gonna be able to be eligible for WGA anytime soon.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's been a lot of pointing out of this by like actual writers who are picketing and stuff, but it just feels it's extremely frustrating because a lot of what you're seeing with like the studios is kind of mirroring what happened to like the comedy industry and the internet writing industry with just fucking venture capital stuff and just like the greed of that kind of killing off all of the creativity. And we're kind of seeing that aspect being brought on there, especially with like a great example is the Warner Discover stuff where just, oh God, they're just stripping everything down. They're getting rid of shows and things. And it's a bad trend, and you should be supporting writers when it comes to this shit.
You should always be supporting the workers. If you're not supporting the workers, you're fucking wrong.
Right.
You're
also,
on the wrong side of history.
We're doing a feature some more news about this. Is if you're the most selfish person in the world, let me tell you, you still need to support unions and the workers, because that's how you get better things. Unions are how, like, we get certain rights in this country.
Unions are why we have weekends.
Yeah.
Unions are why we don't work 7 days a motherfucking week.
Right. And the WGA specifically, writers, it's like, do you want good things you like? Do you want movies? Do you want TV? Do you want to actually be inspired by things? Or do you want to watch the same derivative shit? Were you mad about the new Star Wars? Because if you were, you don't want AI writing things. I assure you, you don't. No. Because it's just going to be that more. So, like, I don't know. Like, I think we're preaching to the choir here, obviously. But it is like very vital to support the WGA and to support writers and to support these unions, because ultimately it makes art and TV and movies and everything better for everybody, you know?
It's part of this thing is I was having this conversation too with somebody where they were talking about, like, I think part of the thing that gets lost in some of this conversation, especially with the idiots where they're going around like, oh, you know, you just go write the shows, blah, 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 it's easy, and that is a lot that gets lost is that the average TV writer does not make a lot of money. You guys really don't understand.
No.
Like people see something where it's like, oh, they got 60,000 or something for 10 episodes, and it's like, yeah, but you don't know if you're gonna work.
But they don't work again for 2 years.
Yeah. And then on top of it, you have to pay your agent and shit, and you're probably gonna be ending up with like what, 40 grand, and you don't know if you're gonna work for 2 years.
Yep.
It's not.
Yeah. I don't want to reveal too much. When I had a script option, it was optioned for $1. Meaning that I got $1 for them to hold on to the script for 6 months. And had they made the script, I would have made enough after taxes to maybe buy a new car, which, don't get me wrong, I need a new car. That would be really nice. But that's a lot of work over like years for that one thing. It is like, writers want to write, because if that wasn't the case, they would get a better job.
It's a compulsion. Because it's an art. It is an art.
And so, like, if you want this stuff, you gotta fucking make it a livable situation, because it is not for most writers. I always feel fucking blessed by like the support we get on the Patreon and from people, you know, like that is so fucking lucky of us, because most people don't have that. It's a nightmare out there to be a writer. It really is.
The avenues keep closing off.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think, Tom, you actually said it, just like we've devalued like the art of writing.
Oh yeah,
that's because it's one of those things where it's like anyone can do it. It's like I can string words together. It's no,
you fucking can't. Like
it's because of the internet. Everybody's writing online.
It's the internet, so we all think writing is worthless and anyone can do it, and that's very far from the truth. And like everything that's bad that we're doomsaying about what might become of Hollywood if they start using AI to write scripts is already happening in digital media. It's been happening. Like they cannot wait to not. Like most digital media places already pay writers $20 or $30 for feature articles.
Right.
This is like thousands of words for $20 or $30, and so they're looking to cut that even down to zero because they can use AI to write art. So it's already like
Oh, yeah.
a mentality of writing is worthless, and now it's just this the WGA strike is trying to prevent it from being transferred over to film and TV and
Exactly.
that area.
If you look around and you go like, where did College Humor go, or like what happened with BuzzFeed or Vice and all these places, like this is it. Like this is what the WGA is trying to prevent for TV and movies, is to make that same feeling.
AI is just the next pivot to video. That's all it is. There's all like the CEOs or executives that keep jumping from ship to ship over the past 10, 15, 20 years in digital media and in regular media. It's each time it's always they're going gung-ho for a certain business model that's supposed to create endless growth, which is an impossibility. And inevitably, it always comes crashing down. They always jump ship and get bailed out with golden parachutes and land somewhere else, but they've screwed over hundreds of thousands of people in the process. Like it was pivot to video, and now it's AI, and now it's going to be freelance, gig economy. That's the thing, and that's coming crashing down. And and Quibi. These are all
because
that's actually Quibi's a great point.
Yes,
I saw one writer specifically bring up, if you want to understand the difference between like what happens with like studios in charge and that, look at Netflix. You have shows that you like, and sure they get canceled and things like that. When you get that completely run by executives, you get Quibi.
Yeah, and
it's awful.
It really. Yeah, it really is. It's real bleak
but
stuff.
Even, Tom, you brought up the term of like exponential growth. Like that, you can see that trickling into most of these services with the streaming things, but instead of growth, they're just labeling it as exponential subscribers. Like if they don't hit getting a boost on subscribers, you hear all about that, and then layoffs come off at Netflix, and then this and that. They just you can't keep growing subscribers. And
again,
there's still get the money.
There's a finite pool.
They also have this thing like when streaming happened, when like game streaming, when like Twitch happened, where there's this expectation also, and I saw this happen, a while ago, where it's like, oh, we need to now make like videos for really cheap. It's that idea of like they look at AI and go, okay, now that's the new standard, and it's like, no, that's not. Like they look at the cheapest way to make something, and then they go, everybody has to do that, and they don't understand that like, a streamer getting millions of views is one person who got very lucky, who just happened to be at the right place at the right time. You can't keep doing that. But they keep lowering the bar of like what they expect the cost to be every single time.
They keep devaluing the product.
Yes.
It's also the product is bullshit because they're lying when they say it's AI. Like I think, Tom, you brought this up a little bit, but I think we kind of glossed over it, and I feel like it gets glossed over in most of these conversations. You keep hearing about AI writing, AI stuff. None of this is AI. It's not artificial intelligence. It's not creating stuff out of anywhere. It's literally just a fancier version of your predictive text when you're fucking writing a text message. That is exactly what it is.
Yep.
You see the same, obviously, with art. Art, of course, got hit way early, which is like that idea of like someone has to sit and draw something that costs money. That's a human being who needs to live. That's worth a specific amount. But it's like, I don't know, all these pictures on Tumblr and shit, and it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like
and
everything has a process
and
a human being behind it that costs a certain amount of money to fucking maintain that person.
Yeah, and there's all that weird shit I saw on social media. I'm not sure how far-reaching this was, but there's a lot of weird shit from ghouls on social media who are like, finally, we won't be held up by the tyranny of artists. Now we can have any art we like. It's like,
Yes.
Why is possessing a skill and talent, why is that tyranny? Like
it's like me watching basketball and getting angry at LeBron James because I can't dunk.
Exactly.
It's like a very weird
I should be able to dunk because I want to be able to dunk. It's like, well, you understand that that's not how that works in basketball, but for some reason, nobody understands that that's not how that works in writing or in drawing or in painting. It's like a creative endeavor has been so devalued, not just by the internet, but like by decades of public school cutting away artists and creative the arts like art and music and all that, and creative writing, all that stuff.
Also, it's just laziness and easy.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, well,
instead of putting your effort towards learning how to do anatomy, learning how to do drawing, learning how to do like all of this stuff that an actual artist does to create an image, it's just, oh, well, I could write this prompt in there and it'll take from other people and do that.
Like, do you sit there and listen to Eruption and think about the tyranny of Eddie Van Halen? Or
I do, but
like,
yeah,
it's
I know
like,
what you're getting at.
No, he's had a talent and he sat there and he perfected his art until he was fucking incredible. And that's how art works. Like,
Right, and that's also why we like art. Like,
Yes!
This is like late stage society shit when people start not understanding that. And again, I don't think there's that many people. I think Twitter is a terrible place.
Twitter is an
boosted the worst opinions.
outsized pool of
Twitter's not just terrible, but the terrible voices are getting elevated because of that stupid...
Right, it's being distilled even further down into only
However,
the most terrible voices. Yeah.
The people who do think like this, and this is the problem, are of course the people running the goddamn studios.
Yep.
Yes.
And so, like, that's the real actual people that I'm, that we're frustrated with when talking about this shit. So yeah, give them their goddamn money. I think it's very funny that we're talking about art when the next story is what it is.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's pivot to the fact that they're rebooting Cliffhanger. Speaking of art, but no, seriously, I am very excited.
Oh yeah, and from reading the article, it sounds like the director mentions it's a continuation of the story and it's going to take place in like the Italian Alps or something. So this is it's not a full reboot. It's like a legacy sequel. So like Stallone's going to come back as Gabe and he's going to be training some new cliffhangers and shit. Maybe Michael Rooker will show back up. It's going to be great.
Fuck.
Okay, man. All right, we have to talk about Stallone right now. Like, man, you are almost like 81 or 91. I know he's juiced up with like 12 different kinds of HGH, but I would feel uncomfortable watching him climb a wall at a gym, let alone like the Swiss Alps. I'm worried about the gentleman.
I gotta see him cliffhang so bad. I think they're gonna Top Gun it, right? The new Hot Shots. Another terrorist attack, which is very funny. Although if they only make 2 of these movies, like the odds are still pretty huge that he would encounter 2 terrorists, but it's not impossible.
They're not terrorists.
So
he's gonna climb a
They're bank
wall.
robbers in the first one.
Bank robbers, right?
They're robbing a plane.
I want robotic John Lithgow for this one, is what I want. But yeah, I feel like I won't get
son.
It begins
Son
with
of Lithgow.
It begins with an opening scrawl. Somehow Lithgow has returned.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
There's nothing. I don't know. There's no way they can make this bad for me.
No, I love Cliffhanger. It is both precious and not precious to me. Like,
exactly.
You can make 18 sequels to Cliffhanger, and it will not upset me at all.
The thing I love about Cliffhanger is that Stallone has a fist fight with old John Lithgow, and I hope they continue this trend by finding someone older than old Stallone for him to fight.
Right.
Larry
like, I want him
David.
to fight. Yeah, like Larry David, someone who's even just
He fights Max von Sydow's corpse.
Yeah.
He fights Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, there it
man.
is. There it is.
Snow from the Hunger Games.
Yeah. No, can't go wrong with this.
It's great news.
Support the WGA, because otherwise we're going to be waiting longer for the Cliffhanger reboot. I don't know if there's a better argument than that.
No, you can't. You're not allowed to do that to me, listener. So support
Exactly.
the WGA.
I do hope that they have scenes where he's old during this. Like, he pauses during mid-cliff climb. He's just like,
I hope he shits himself climbing.
He has to put on wall climbing glasses
Yeah.
so he can get a better view of the holes.
He's got wall climbing bifocals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, speaking of support, we have some more patrons here.
Woo!
Big thank you to Norm from Cheers.
Thank you.
Norm.
Thank you to Pete Forpagel.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to Numino Ultra Microscopic Silico, Volcanoconiosis, Anti-Disestablishmentarianism Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you to Pre-Order TikTok Superstar Jason Pargin's new book, Zoe is Too Drunk for This Dystopia. Pre-orders are super important.
Thank you.
Thank you to RevMD.
Thank you.
Thank you to Ricky Cilantro.
Thank you.
Thank you to Rosemary's Baby from Eraserhead.
Thank you.
Thank you to Screaming Horse Pyramid.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Snapper Carr Punches God in the Dick.
Thank you.
Thank you to Sorry Cop, world's most laughable centrist.
Thank you.
Thank you to Steven.
Thank you so much.
Steven. Thank you to the conveniently placed self-destruct button on the top of every baby's head.
Thank you so much. All right, let me swoop in here. Thank you to the Midnight Patron with patrons at midnight.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Oatmeal Savage.
Thank you.
Thank you to the To Be Terror Bunny says, thank you for watching Dead Heat.
You're welcome.
Thank you to these 7 Bs.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tiger Drawers Pratt Thompson. Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tip Drizzle.
Yes.
Thank you to Chucks.
Thank you.
Thank you to Vincent with a Y.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to Why Did She Take a Flying Fuck at the Moon?
Thank you.
Thank you to your mom.
Thank you.
And thank you to Zzz, because Pie Guy liked being last.
Thank you.
Dave, we're running long. Yes. We're running long, so I'm gonna cut the shit.
Ooh.
And just ask you straight away, cut the shit, Dave. Do you have a movie that deserves more hype?
I do.
Tell us about it.
Tom. We're always long. We're long folk. This is a movie called Giving Birth to a Butterfly. Comes out May 16th on the streams. The director was the producer of a film that I quite liked called We're All Going to the World's Fair, which was a underrated film. It's very slow. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but I thought it was very good.
I haven't. We covered it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, yeah. I thought that was a very interesting film. It's I don't know. This isn't about that movie, but I just wanted to make that connection. This looks like it's got mixed reviews, and I think that's probably for the best because this looks fucking weird. It's about I think a daughter and son who go on a road trip to it's a mom and her son's pregnant girlfriend go to track down scammers who stole the mother's money. It was shot on 16 millimeter, and it is being described as Lynchian, and not in the broad sense of the word. AV Club specifically says the word Lynchian is overused, but in this case, it's clearly inspired by David Lynch's work, and you can tell from the trailer. It seems very fucking weird. The AV Club also says the film takes place in a parallel universe that looks and acts like Suburbia, just ever so slightly off. And so, like, it's just got that fucking Twin Peaks vibe. I don't know what else to say. If you like weird shit, this has got that weird shit vibe just hanging off of it.
It's got the Twin Peaks vibe down to having numerous sets of twins in the trailer.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what'd you guys think of this?
I think I'm interested. It's so David Lynch that I can't quite make heads or tails of the trailer. Like I really had to read the plot summary to understand what the trailer was even about.
It does not give you any info in terms of just viewing the trailer. You need the background stuff.
Right.
I think this was filmed on like 16 millimeters.
16 millimeter,
it has a very like interesting look, and that combined with like the awkward weirdness of like the Lynchian aspect, it's kind of interesting. And I recognize the lead actress from something, but I can't remember right now. I'm like blanking on it. I know I've seen her and stuff before, but yeah, it seems like a good weird watch.
Yeah,
like a good Saturday night weird watch.
Again, it's not going to be for everybody. It just can't be.
No.
Yeah.
It's going for something very specific here. And yeah, it's just. It's like one of these reviews describes it as like very Tim and Eric in some of the dialogue specifically, where it's like obviously it's not trying to go for shock or gross out like Tim and Eric, but it's that like alternate like weird reality where like if you were perhaps watching this while high, you'd feel like you're losing your mind, where you're like, wait, what are they saying? Like it's got that vibe all over it, which yeah, some people like. I feel like I might like this for that reason, but. It's a very cryptic trailer. Very odd.
Okay, so apparently that woman is from Rubicon. That's where I know her from, which is a show nobody has thought about in 10 years. So
that's fair.
Yeah,
it's fair.
Right.
Her dad is Paul Sparks from the Waco miniseries that nobody watched.
That's weird.
The one that they did a sequel to that apparently nobody else is watching.
Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna watch it though. You better believe. Michael Shannon coming back to be like, it's Waco Part 2.
Are they bringing back Sexy Koresh with Taylor?
I hope so. Just zombied out with a fucking robot brain screwed into his skull. I hope so. Anyway, I digress. This is giving birth to a butterfly.
Giving birth to a butterfly. Again, the fucking reviews are cryptic. It says, by the end of the film, only one woman has given birth, not to a human, but to a belief. And I'm like, what the fuck?
What does that mean? What happens to the baby?
Yeah, where's the baby? Yeah, so I don't know, man. Check it out. Check the trailer out. You might enjoy it.
The baby also sounds like Matt Berry, but is Alan Tudyk.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Give birth to this butterfly. I think we've done it. I think that's a sewed.
I think that's a
Yes. Logan, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you both for having me. It's always a delight.
You wanna hit a couple of plugs again, just in case?
Yeah. Again, like I said, we're doing a lot of original interviews and stuff over at Crack. So I mentioned a couple of people. We got a couple more down the pipeline. So check those out. And again, as long as Twitter's still around, I'll be at the Logan Trent. And also, I always mention this. Please leave a review for this podcast and all our friends' podcasts, because that shit really helps with iTunes ratings and other places too.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah. Dave, tell them some stuff.
We have a Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, GAMEFULLY unemployed. If you go on there for just $5 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder's Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. For a little more, you can watch movies with us every Friday night. That's the night this comes out. Who knows what we'll be watching? We watched something real fucked up last week.
Heart beeps.
Heart beeps.
Tom, I sent you a message about that Michael J. Fox movie. I don't know if that's available, but oh man.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
We have some ideas.
Yeah, I've got a whole list of fucking weird ass movies from the 80s. We also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com, where you'll find a link to our Teespring store, where we have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs. You can find t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things. So slap your robotic butterfly birthing peepers onto that.
Yes.
Yep. Yes. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can follow him on Twitter at @thecorlew, CORLEW, and find more music at shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. You can find more of his artwork at instagram.com/mvbramleyart. Our episode artwork is produced by Justin Brown. You can follow him on Twitter at @JustinTBrown, and find more of his artwork at artnessbyjustinbrown.com and justinbrown.info.